After returning victorious from the campaign, I married Pei Yan. Before thousands of soldiers, he swore, "This life I seek no children, take no concubines, only you." Everyone said he cherished me above all else. Yet in our 3rd year of marriage, he took my younger sister as his concubine. He discussed with my younger brother, "In 7 days, you must weep with heartfelt sorrow, saying you cannot bear to part with Shuang Shuang. Beg His Majesty to grant Shuang Shuang to me. Only then will your elder sister cease her tears and quarrels with me." How foolish! Why go to such trouble? I had already petitioned His Majesty for a marriage contract on his behalf. A divorce decree. 7 days later, I departed the capital. A marriage contract? His Majesty was astonished. Between Pei Yan and Xie Rongshuang? I knelt before him. "Yes, Your Majesty." The hall of diligent governance fell silent for a moment. No wonder His Majesty was so surprised. Xie Rongshuang is my half-sister. Since childhood, we've despised each other, like oil and water. And Pei Yan is my husband of many loving years. 3 years ago, he sought my hand in marriage. Holding the young general's order, he pledged before thousands of soldiers, "This life shall seek no children, take no concubines, only you. Together till our hair turns white." Yet now, I kneel before Your Majesty, petitioning for their union. But in the next moment, the emperor seemed to understand. He sighed, "Is this why you volunteered to garrison the northern frontier? In recent months, the northern barbarians have made frequent probing incursions." His Majesty had been troubled for many days, struggling to decide whom to send to intimidate them. Half an hour ago, I arrived at the Hall of Diligent Governance. I volunteered. "Your Majesty, this servant has fought on the northern frontier for 6 years. The peace treaty with the northern barbarians was personally signed by this servant. Should the northern tribes dare violate the treaty, they must first answer to this servant. Have you discussed this with Pei Yan? This servant has one more request." I lifted my head, then bowed again. "Your Majesty, please grant this servant one more divorce decree." This time, there was no silence. It was likely expected. I caught only a glimpse of the brush moving swiftly. Moments later, 2 imperial edicts in bright yellow ink lay before me. Just as I was about to express my gratitude, His Majesty sighed again. "Ronin, I watched Yan grow up. He was a bit of a scatterbrain in his youth, but over the years, he's become increasingly steady. His devotion to you is plain for all to see. Could there be some misunderstanding at play?" A misunderstanding? I couldn't help but twist my lips. "I shall grant you 7 more days. At the Qionli night banquet 7 days hence, I shall announce this matter. If you still hold your ground then, I shall personally escort you out of the capital." I gazed at the sovereign seated above, His Majesty radiating authority yet his eyes brimming with tenderness. I bowed once more. "Ronin, thanks His Majesty for his grace." As I returned to the manor, a light drizzle began to fall. From afar, I spotted Pei Yan waiting at the gate, holding an oil paper umbrella. Spotting my carriage, he hurried toward me with evident delight. "Why did you take so long? Did His Majesty detain you for another game of chess?" "It's late. Have you dined?" He helped me down from the carriage. His umbrella instinctively tilted toward me. But as he drew near, I caught that familiar scent again. My eyes flicked to his shoes. Dirt clung to the tips. Then I looked at his collar. Unusually disheveled. A faint trace of red was visible on the exposed white undershirt. It had only been an hour. Couldn't even wait that long before wanting to get intimate? "My lady? What's wrong?" I brushed the lipstick off his clothes. "Visited the cosmetics shop again today?" The whole capital knew Pei Yan loved browsing cosmetics shops. Not just browsing, he'd apply them to his own face. "I just love testing them on you, my lady." "What's wrong with that?" "Stop grinning." He'd been a notorious playboy in the capital since childhood, only reigning in his wild ways after meeting me. His sole focus became winning my favor. "Yes. Yes." Pei Yan's eyes flicked away for a moment. He quickly regained his composure. "Nothing worth buying today. I'll go again in a couple of days to pick something out for you." I smiled and said nothing more. He walked me to the corridor, then suddenly added, "My lady, there's much to attend to at the Ministry of Revenue today. I must go back. Tonight. I won't be returning. The wind is fierce and the rain heavy. Make sure you cover yourself well with the quilt, okay?" I watched him. His eyes were filled with concern. Not a trace of pretense. Even after I nodded, he kept turning back every few steps. So reluctant to leave. But beauty truly does cloud the mind. If the Ministry of Revenue was so busy, how could Minister Pei possibly have time today? To browse cosmetics shops? I had Haitang drive a servant's carriage. We followed from a distance. Pei Yan was in a hurry. He galloped all the way. When we reached the pastry shop in the western part of the city, he got out and bought a packet of osmanthus cakes. They were Xie Rongshuang's favorite. Once, I told him about my childhood. How I accidentally knocked over one of Xie Rongshuang's osmanthus cakes. My stepmother punished me by making me kneel in the courtyard all night. His teeth nearly ground to dust. When I returned to the capital, "I'll shut down every pastry shop in the city. Make sure she never tastes osmanthus cake again in her life." But now, the shopkeeper smiled and asked him, "Minister Pei, here again to buy osmanthus cakes for your lady?" He smiled and replied, "Indeed. My wife has a particular fondness for them. Not madam, but wife." Back in the carriage, the pace quickened. It seemed to race impatiently toward a certain residence. The moment it stopped, a pale yellow figure flew toward him. Pei Lang, though he'd braced himself, witnessing the scene firsthand, felt like a heavy hammer striking his heart. How could this be a misunderstanding? Xie Rongshuang had been slipping me notes for 2 months now. From love poems with hidden meanings, to tender phrases like shuang shuang, all in Pei Yan's handwriting. How could it be a misunderstanding? I heard Pei Yan discuss with my own brother how to bring Xie Rongshuang into the family properly. Now, embracing Xie Rongshuang, he was overcome with passion. Ignoring the servants present, he lifted her chin and kissed her. I never intended to marry Pei Yan. I was born into a general's household. But my mother died young, and my father's fortunes declined. For over a decade, the name General Xia had long faded from the capital. Pei Yan was different. His mother was the eldest princess, his father the chief minister of the court. My journey to the military camp was a desperate bid for survival. His journey to the camp was the eldest princess's way of venting her frustration. Sent to temper his temper. When we met, I was 12, he 16. At first, he merely saw me as a novelty. A camp full of men, and suddenly a delicate maiden appears. Later, he discovered. He fell short of me in every way. His horse stance was less steady than mine. His archery less precise. Even his eating couldn't match my ferocity. "You stubborn brat. Do you think you'll die if you don't push yourself?" He went from teasing me to resenting me. Then, one day, I don't know when, he stopped calling me damn brat. He called me Rongin. On the day of my coming-of-age ceremony, he handed me a golden hairpin. "This young master likes you. Why don't you marry this young master?" I ignored him. 3 more years passed. The princess had long ordered him back. He said he wouldn't return unless I did. He followed me through skirmishes and major campaigns, wounded, decorated, wounded. Each time he was injured, he'd ask, "If I'm dying, will you marry me?" I said, "No." The final time was the last battle against the northern barbarians. He wasn't wounded that day, but I was. When that feigned surrender soldier hurled his spear at him, I had no time to think. Only when the spear pierced his abdomen did Pei Yan cry out in anguish. I looked down, blood covered my body. Well, he'd shielded me from blades so many times before. This time, we were even. But this time, they said, Pei Yan nearly lost his mind. When the army doctor said my life was in danger, he sought out the imperial physician. When the imperial physician was helpless, he turned to wandering folk healers. When the folk healers shook their heads, he turned to gods and Buddhas. He climbed 9,999 steps, prostrating himself at each one. Finally, he knelt before the Buddha. He vowed not to rise until I awoke. When I came to, I clutched a talisman for safety. He, however, had wasted away beyond recognition. After that, he petitioned for marriage before the army. My abdominal injury left me unable to bear children. He declared he sought no offspring. I worried about the disparity in our family backgrounds. He vowed never to take a concubine. This life belongs only to you and me. Shall we grow old together? I nodded. I thought death could be no worse than this. What else could I do? But it turned out there truly existed something more excruciating than death. I delivered a letter to His Majesty. Rongin's resolve is firm. I thank your Majesty for your kindness. His Majesty returned a token. The Northern Expedition order from my days in the northern frontier. Clutched in my hand. Cold, yet strangely reassuring. So when Xie Rongshuang's paper slip arrived again, I merely watched coldly. This time, the slip was densely covered with names. Children's names. Yes. Xie Rongshuang was pregnant. That was why Pei Yan couldn't wait to bring her into the household. He didn't want his first child to have an impure birth. But what did it matter? I had Haitang fetch the wooden box. The marriage contract and the divorce decree lay neatly inside. I casually opened the trousseau chest. All the notes from the past 2 months, along with the latest one, all into the box. If gifts are to be given, they should be generous. Pei Yan gave me a hairpin. Ever since I refused his golden hairpin that year, he'd taken to carving wooden ones for me. But his hands weren't made for such delicate work. Each time, they'd be covered in cuts. This time was no exception. My lady, need a breath of fresh air? He arched his almond-shaped eyes, holding his hand before my face. My mind drifted effortlessly to how those hands pressed Xie Rongshuang down for a kiss. One hand pinching her chin, the other gripping the back of her head. Kissing her until she stumbled backward. Why have you seemed so unhappy lately? Has someone upset you? Tell me, and I'll grab my sword and cut them down. Pei Yan crouched down, taking my hand. Rongin, you know I hate seeing you sad. I looked at him and smiled. It's nothing. Just some concerns about the northern frontier. Don't worry. I've arranged to meet Xia Xiao today. He paused, as if realizing his slip. Then he added, to discuss this matter. Would you like to join us? I feigned deliberation. After a moment, I shook my head. I'm feeling rather tired today. You go ahead. He exhaled a barely perceptible sigh of relief. Then rest well. I'll head over first. No sooner had he left than a paper slip was slipped under my door. Bright Moon Pavilion, Moon-Grasping Hall. Fearing I might not attend, she'd even scented it with her signature perfume. Truthfully, I knew exactly what Xie Rongshuang intended. She couldn't wait to flaunt her victory before me. Pei Yan and Xia Xiao were meeting at the Bright Moon Pavilion today. Xia Xiao is my younger brother. My younger brother, born of the same father and mother. 5 days ago, I overheard their discussion. The court's military officers are in short supply. The eastern wastes, southern ridges, and western regions all require heavy garrisons. The northern frontier is in turmoil again. His Majesty must be agonizing over whom to send to intimidate them. You've feigned illness for half a month. Hold out 7 more days until the night banquet in the Jade Forest. When His Majesty is overwhelmed, you'll volunteer to lead the northern frontier. His Majesty will surely be deeply moved. Then you'll mention how a northern campaign lasts years, and you're worried about Shuang, who hasn't married yet. They planned a heartrending entrusting of the orphan before battle. Xia Xiao would step forward, saying Xie Rongshuang had long been devoted to Pei Yan. He would plead with His Majesty to betroth Xie Rongshuang to Pei Yan, even as a concubine. Thus, Pei Yan would not be considered to have broken his vow. Your elder sister cherishes you most. If you propose it yourself, she won't bear to blame you. Nor will she cry and fuss with me. What a perfect solution. Truly the son of the chief minister and the grand princess. Tomorrow is the night banquet in the Jade Grove. Their meeting now was surely to discuss this matter once more. Xie Rongshuang likely wanted me to hear their betrayal. Yet I still went. At the door, I heard Pei Yan sigh, your sister has been troubled lately. I wonder if she'll still be angry tomorrow. So you mean we should cancel tomorrow? Pei Yan fell silent. After a moment, he sighed again. Shuang's pregnancy can't wait any longer. Then, Pei Yan's tone grew grave. Tomorrow, you must insist she cannot bear children. Tell her that failing to bear an heir for the Pei household is a shame upon your Xia family. Your sister has always been reasonable. Even if she dislikes Shuang, the child she bears will still carry her blood, won't it? I clutched my chest. But it seems, after enduring pain long enough, one grows numb. I returned to the mansion. I simply tossed that paper slip back into the box. The next morning, Pei Yan returned early. He personally applied my eyebrow makeup and combed my hair. He always said he wanted others to see, the moment I stepped out, that I was the happiest woman in the capital. He acted so perfectly normal. Even when we encountered Xie Rongshuang in the Jade Forest Garden, he behaved as if seeing her for the first time. Frowning, he disdainfully moved closer to me. Sister, brother-in-law. Xie Rongshuang wore light makeup today, looking delicate and tender. After curtsying, she obediently trailed behind me. Oh! With a clunk, a wooden doll rolled out of her sleeve. Pei Yan's expression immediately darkened. Oh, so he carved it. He gave her a doll, and me a wooden hairpin. Was this the leftover scrap from her doll? If you have nothing better to do, go find Xia Xiao. Why would I go find my sister? Pei Yan scolded coldly, lowering his gaze. Xie Rongshuang's eyes immediately welled up with tears. She stamped her foot and stormed off. Shuang. I instinctively wanted to chase after her, but upon seeing me, she composed herself. Rongshuang is truly improper. Then she smiled. Does the lady like dolls? Then next time, instead of a wooden hairpin, how about making a doll? I smiled too. Shook my head. It's all about to end. What's with the wooden hairpins and dolls? Xie Rongshuang only returned when we were seated. She sat silently behind Pei Yan and me. I didn't mind. It was Xia Xiao who did. He sat at a distance, deliberately avoiding our company. Coughing, he summoned a servant. Master, the young master says he remains unwell. He sent me to convey his regards. He himself will not attend, lest he pass on his illness to you both. Very well. A complete charade. Throughout the banquet, Pei Yan served me food and poured wine with utmost attentiveness. Whenever Xia Xiao caught my gaze, he would curve his brows and smile at me. As if he were still that little brother from years ago, tugging at my skirt hem. The younger brother who worshipped me as his world. Only after His Majesty finished bestowing rewards upon this year's newly appointed scholars did their shoulders unconsciously tense. They began exchanging glances frequently. When His Majesty mentioned the northern barbarians, Pei Yan gave Xia Xiao a slight nod. A confident smile lifted the corners of his lips. Turning to Xie Rongshuang. Her eyes shone so brightly she'd forgotten even to challenge me. She stared fixedly at Xia Xiao, as if she intended to rise the next moment to receive the imperial decree and express her gratitude. Until, Your Majesty, though this humble servant is ailing, the northern barbarians' repeated provocations are truly detestable. This humble servant is willing. The emperor waved his hand. The choice for this border defense mission has already been decided. Xia Xiao froze. But the northern barbarians fear the Xia family most. Your servant believes no one is more suited than Xie Rongyin, received the decree. The emperor's voice thundered across the hall. I hereby appoint you as the great general of the northern frontier. You are granted the Northern Expeditionary Army order and shall lead 100,000 troops. Defend the northern frontier. Depart tomorrow. An eerie silence hung over the chamber. A wine cup slipped from someone's grasp. It shattered to the floor. Your Majesty. Before I could bow in gratitude, Pei Yan rose abruptly. Your Majesty. My wife suffered severe injuries saving me years ago, damaging her constitution. How can she endure such bitter cold? Your Majesty, my elder sister is frail and already married. Xia Xiao also knelt urgently. Xia Xiao volunteers to take my sister's place in this campaign. I shall not betray Your Majesty's trust. The emperor gazed at me. A flicker of hesitation flickered in his eyes. My expression remained resolute as I shook my head gently. The northern frontier was cold and bleak, yet it offered a comforting freedom. The capital's splendor burns like oil over a raging fire. Rongin vows to guard the frontier this lifetime, serving the nation with utmost loyalty. Just then, Xie Rongshuang stepped forward. Brother-in-law, how could your majesty not consider sister's frail constitution? It's merely leading troops there. She'll surely return swiftly. Younger brother, though you've 3 years of battlefield experience, how can your reputation compare to sister's? Rise at once. Do not place his majesty in an awkward position. How dare you? A eunuch beside the emperor bellowed. Where did this barbarian woman come from, to speak so insolently before his majesty? Xie Rongshuang paled with fright, collapsing to her knees. Rongshuang. Shuang. Before she could finish, tears streamed down her face. The emperor waved his hand impatiently. Pei Yan and Xia Xiao exchanged a swift glance before stepping forward. Then we beg your majesty for a few more days' grace. The main army shall depart first, with Rongin bringing up the rear. Grant this subject and his wife a few days to prepare. A few more days? I frowned. Uncle. Pei Yan murmured softly. His majesty looked at me, then at Pei Yan. His expression finally softened. Very well. 5 days hence, General Xia shall depart the capital. I shall see him off personally. 5 days. I ran my fingers over the Northern Expedition order tucked in my sleeve. His Majesty truly cherished his only nephew. He likely hoped these 5 days might offer some room for maneuver between us. My lady, how could you discuss such a crucial matter without consulting me? This has been troubling you these past days, hasn't it? Uncle, you've gone too far, not a whisper of this to me. Upon returning home, Pei Yan seemed thrown into disarray. He ordered servants to bring forth all the treasured items stored in the vault for years. You must take the dragon tongue bow. It was thanks to this bow that you slew that dog Xiao with a single arrow. The dragon tongue bow, strung with dragon sinew. It was the gift he gave me on my 16th birthday, after seeking it from renowned martial artists across the land. And this plum blossom dagger must come too. For close combat against enemies, it's the first choice. The plum blossom dagger, with 2 sharp edges, cuts through iron like mud. Pei Yan spent over 10,000 taels of gold to obtain just one. It was my 17th birthday gift. And this golden silk armor, light as feathers, impervious to blades and spears, never thought it would come in handy. At 18, I lay gravely wounded and unconscious. Pei Yan was beside himself. Knowing it would never be used, he still commissioned craftsmen to spend nearly half a year crafting a gold and silk armor. For a time, he could only sleep soundly seeing it worn upon me. A faint shiver ran through his heart. Pei Yan rummaged through the treasury, wanting to take this and that. Enough! I'll take only these 3 things. He actually believed Xie Rongshuang's words. Go scare those northern barbarians. You should return to the capital within a month at most. What's this? He picked up the wooden box from the trousseau. My heart skipped a beat. Inside the wooden box lay what His Majesty had personally bestowed. His marriage contract with Xie Rongshuang and my divorce decree from him. Along with all those meticulously crafted notes Xie Rongshuang had sent. I had planned to confront him tonight. But if he leaves the capital in 5 days. Rongin? This is... I hesitated. Pei Yan smiled and lifted the lid himself. But just then, Your Excellency. The Ministry of Revenue. There. In the blink of an eye, Pei Yan slammed the lid shut. He rose hastily. My lady, the ministry must have urgent business. If I return late, keep no lamp burning for me. He hurried out. The room was filled with dazzling objects. Silence hung heavy. I opened my palm, damp with sweat. I laughed once. Then again. Early the next morning, I went to the capital magistrate's office. Originally, I should have gone with Pei Yan. But I decided it was unnecessary. The magistrate, upon seeing the imperial edict in my hand, was utterly shocked. He dared not utter a single extra word, dared not ask a single extra question. He personally completed the divorce formalities and respectfully handed me my household registration. May I ask, General, shall your registration be transferred back to the Xia household, or shall you establish a new one? If establishing a new one, shall it be registered in the capital, or transferred to the northern frontier? If returning to the Xia household. I said little. I merely took paper and brush, writing a document. The prefect's eyes widened abruptly upon reading it, his voice completely gone. Thank you, Magistrate Zhao. I handed over the document and turned to leave. That afternoon, I had Haitang inventory my dowry. I'd assumed traveling with the army meant I couldn't take it with me. But since I was traveling alone in the rear guard, leaving it behind would only benefit others. By evening, I had Haitang help me handle several large items. Truthfully, there wasn't much. When I married Pei Yan, the Xia family was already in its final throes. Compounded by my stepmother's obstruction, father had to scour every corner to scrape together those few presentable pieces. But I couldn't escape the constant watch on my movements. As I sold the last set of headdresses, Xie Rongshuang arrived. My, are you that short on silver, sister? Didn't they say your husband dotes on you beyond measure, always willing to spend lavishly for you? How did you sink to this? I couldn't be bothered to respond. She insisted on drawing near, lowering her voice. Stop pretending. Don't think I don't see through your act. It's just a ploy to play hard to get, isn't it? Xie Ronin, you don't seriously think this will win you over me, do you? She deliberately thrust out her belly. I stared at her. Move. She tilted her head, sneering. It's been a while since Pei Lang touched you, hasn't it? Do you know why? He said. She leaned close to my ear. Those scars on your body? Disgusting. Especially that hole in your belly. Every time he sees it, he gets sick. You're a old hen that can't even lay a single egg. Haitang! I seized her wrists and shoved her hard to the ground, disrespectful to His Majesty above, disrespectful to your elder sister below. Beat her. You dare. I smack, my belly, smack, inside my belly, smack, there's something inside my. What's inside you? I pinched her chin. Xie Rongshuang's face was swollen and streaked with tears. But she dared not admit before everyone present that she, an unmarried maiden, carried her brother-in-law's child. Haitang. I released her. Keep beating her. The first to arrive was Xia Xiao. Sister. He brandished a gold-inlaid dagger. His presence instantly dispersed the gawking crowd. The shopkeeper hurriedly shut the door in fright. No one dared linger. Only Haitang remained, her hands sore from fanning, and me, idly seated nearby. And Xie Rongshuang, sobbing softly on the floor. Why haven't you carried the second young miss back? Xia Xiao's face was cold. The maid who had gone to spread the news immediately helped Xie Rongshuang up. She ran off without looking back. Sister, Xia Xiao looked utterly helpless. Didn't you promise me you wouldn't trouble her? Yes. I promised Xia Xiao. Our weak father is gone, and so is the concubine mother who used to trample over us siblings to flex her power. The general's mansion now bears a plaque personally bestowed by His Majesty. He, Xia Xiao, is the head of the household. I promised him that the past is truly past. I wouldn't cause trouble for Xie Rongshuang, letting outsiders mock our Xia family. So he could, right before my eyes, shove Xie Rongshuang into Pei Yan's bed? Sister, I know you've seen through it. Her long delay in marrying shows she has designs on my husband. But why won't you step back and consider? Sister. Xia Xiao knelt before me, clasping my hand. You can never bear children. Without an heir, how can you hold your position as the legitimate wife? Why not simply grant her what she desires? Why not? Xia Xiao. I smiled at him. When mother passed, you were 4. I was only 7. Why did I appear in the northern frontier camp as a woman? Because I could no longer live. I could no longer endure the humiliation inflicted by that mother and daughter. I defied all propriety, kneeling before His Majesty in front of the ministers. I declared that a woman need not be inferior to a man. Ronin requested to fight. Why did I refuse to return to the capital for 1 year, 2 years, 6 years, even at the cost of my life? Because I knew. Without glorious military achievements, my little brother would never rise above his station. Xia Xiao. I stood up. Anyone has the right to say that. You don't. I took a step and walked away. I'm only doing this for your own good? Xia Xiao shouted from behind. I smiled. For my sake? Xia Ronin. You bear the Xia surname. You are family. Can't you put the greater good first and think more about the Xia family? The Xia family? I turned back, giving him one last look. Rest assured. Soon, it won't be. The second to arrive was, naturally, Pei Yan. He never played by the rules. He dragged Xia Rongshuang along. The moment he entered the bedroom, he yanked her hand away. Kneel. Apologize to your elder sister. Xia Rongshuang's face was even more swollen than before, and she knelt immediately. Sister. I shouldn't have made you angry. It was my fault. Pei Yan sat beside me, his expression softening. So, is that better now? I tugged at the corner of my lips. You know what happened? Who cares what happened? Pei Yan raised an eyebrow. Angering my wife is the gravest offense. Oh. So he knew nothing. Get out! He barked coldly at Xia Rongshuang. Biting her lip, tears streaming down her face, she left without a word. My fault for arriving too late. Pei Yan took my hand. His tone softened. Did she hurt your hand, HM? I looked at him intently. Deep into his eyes. Before seeing it with my own eyes, hearing it with my own ears. I never believed Xia Rongshuang's notes. Just like when she gave me pretty pastries as a child, pretending to be my friend. I believed her, took a bite, and ended up with diarrhea for 3 days. Those notes, no matter how similar the handwriting, must have been forged by her. Pei Yan loved me so deeply. He despised her so intensely. How could he possibly be entangled with her? But Pei Yan. What an actor he was. He lifted me up, removed my shoes and socks, undid my hairpin. Just like all those nights before, when exhaustion left me restless and sleepless. He gently and patiently stroked my back, lulling me to sleep. Pei Yan, I asked him, do you remember what you said on our wedding night? He smiled. The one who betrays their vows must swallow 1,000 silver needles. Ronin. His fingers traced the arch of my brow. His eyes brimmed with overflowing devotion. This life, Pei Yan will never betray you. I smiled back. Good. I closed my eyes. When I awoke, darkness enveloped me. I rose and dressed. Guided by instinct alone, I walked outside. Easily, beneath the plum tree in the courtyard, I saw 2 figures nestled together. A warm lamp cast its glow, petals drifted in the breeze. Xia Rongshuang tilted her face upward gently, Pei Yan's back slightly bent. Gently applying medicine to her. If I say I mistook her for someone else while drunk, will she let me marry her? A delicate, sweet voice murmured softly, why must you see her? All right, all right. You adore my sister most. I won't compete with her. You told me to apologize to her, and I did it right away, didn't I? I really didn't do anything to her today. Who knew she'd be so angry? Stop it! What could a child possibly know? Pei Yan murmured something, then lowered his head to nuzzle Xia Rongshuang's belly. She pushed him away playfully, and they both burst into laughter. So sweet. So warm. Thankfully, the sadness was gone. I gathered the fallen plum blossom in my palm and turned to leave. Lit the lamp, ground the ink. He who betrays his vows shall swallow 1,000 silver needles. I dried the paper slip. Along with that plum blossom petal. Together, I placed them in the wooden box. For the next 4 days, Pei Yan took leave. As if he couldn't bear to be apart from me for even a moment. He accompanied me to the temple to pray for blessings. He dragged me to the tailor's shop to buy clothes. He even set off fireworks for me all night long. Yet this didn't interfere with his duties at the Ministry of Revenue, where daily trivial matters demanded his attention. Sometimes half an hour, sometimes a full hour. It actually worked to my advantage. On the first day, I exchanged most of my silver for banknotes. On the second day, I stowed the remaining dowry items I hadn't had time to pack into my traveling carriage. On the third day, I sold the dragon tongue bow, plum blossom dagger, and golden thread armor. On the final day, I received my new household registration processed by the Jingzhou prefecture. That day, I handwrote the documents to change my surname. From now on, I would take my mother's surname, Song. No longer a member of the Xie family. No longer connected to Xie Rongshuang or Xie Xiao in any way. After obtaining the household register, I went to pay my respects at my mother's grave. We spoke for half the afternoon. When I returned, Pei Yan was frantic with worry. "Why didn't you call me to pay respects to your mother-in-law? Did you know I couldn't find you when I came back? I nearly turned the entire capital upside down searching. You must never. Didn't you go to the Ministry of Revenue?" I smiled at him. He froze. Suddenly, he leaned in and held me tightly. "I won't go anywhere anymore. Nowhere at all. Rongin, why do I feel so distant from you even though you haven't left yet? 1 month, 2 at most. You must return before the new year, okay?" He took me to see a list. It was filled with things he wanted to do with me after my return. Floating lanterns, brewing snow tea. Journeying south, climbing famous mountains. He kissed me urgently, wanting to share a bed. Like the days before, I pushed him away. My period hasn't ended yet. So he held me, whispering soothing words until my eyes closed. Finally, the moon set and the sun rose, crimson clouds filling the sky. The day of departure arrived. Truthfully, I'd initially planned to confront him before leaving, to produce those notes from Xie Rongshuang. To confront Pei Yan with every wrongdoing. Why betray? Why deceive? I would have flung that marriage contract in his face. Wish him and Xie Rongshuang 100 years of bliss, eternal spring. Force him to accompany me to the prefectural office. Part ways amicably, sever ties cleanly. Yet I gradually realized not every question has an answer. Not every answer can ease your grievances. Just as Pei Yan swore I'll never betray you one breath before, the next he was courting another beneath moonlit blossoms. One breath before, his eyes red, he swore, I'll never go again. The next breath, he'd tread through the night dew to indulge in fleeting passion with another. Rongin, I didn't expect mosquitoes this season. Pei Yan rode his horse. After His Majesty's farewell banquet, he escorted me out of the city. The suggestive red marks on my neck drew whispered laughter from passers-by. I nodded. Winter mosquitoes are indeed troublesome. My lady, last night I know. I smiled at him. I suppose it was because I was leaving that you tossed and turned, unable to sleep, and went out for a walk. Pei Yan tugged at the corner of his mouth, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. I also recall that in the 9 years we've known each other, we've never been apart. I imagine you'll miss me terribly. Pei Yan's eyes flushed red as he tightened the reins. Didn't you ask me last time what was inside that wooden box? Turns out acting isn't so hard after all. My expression was undoubtedly sincere. It's a surprise I prepared especially for you. Pei Yan lit up like a child. Really? But you can only open it after the sun sets today. Yes, yes, yes. 3 yes in a row. Even the horses sensed his joy, kicking up dust excitedly beneath their hooves. Pei Yan, do you remember that battle at the Ink River that year? That year, we were attacked from both sides. We split our forces, entrusting our backs to each other. We fought our way through a bloody path. Pei Yan still understood me so well. He turned his horse's head and raised his whip. Just like back then, 5. After tossing and turning all these days, I finally understood. 4. What I needed to do wasn't ask others why. 3. But ask myself. 2. What I want. 1. Crack, the whips fell simultaneously. 2 horses, one south, one north. Like arrows leaving the bowstring. In the rushing wind, I seemed to hear a choked cry piercing the air, Rongin, I'll wait for you in the capital. No, you will never, ever wait for me again. 3 years later, south of Hangeling. Summer hadn't yet arrived, yet the air was already stiflingly humid. While taking Linglong to buy insect-repelling herbs, I happened to see the newly posted wanted posters at the government office gate. This Marquis Pei must be out of his mind. Changing the portrait every month, claiming he's searching for his wife. Making it look like he's a criminal on the run. If he's looking for his wife, why not just go to her family's home? Well, you wouldn't know. Someone vividly recounted the story of my past with Pei Yan. The emperor personally granted the divorce decree and ordered General Xia to garrison the northern frontier. Strange as it may seem, the northern barbarians immediately became docile after General Xia's departure. A month later, General Xia vanished. Rumor has it he doesn't just update the portrait monthly, he kneels before His Majesty monthly, demanding news of General Xia. Pfft. He was the one who broke his vows first. How dare he hang portraits everywhere? Speaking of which, this portrait does bear a striking resemblance to our General Song. Our General's surname is Song. The one he hired is Xia. What the hell connection is that? Ugh, this is so unlucky. Tear it up. Tear it up. Linglong giggled. General, I told you, aren't the people of Lingnan the most adorable? This was my 3rd year in Lingnan. After the negotiations concluded in the northern frontier 3 years ago, I fulfilled my promise to His Majesty. Under the name Songying, I journeyed to Lingnan. Once again, I started as a junior officer. But half a year ago, His Majesty sent me a letter, Rongin, if I don't grant you the title of general soon, I fear I'll drown in the spit of Lingnan's people. And so I became General Song. Though granted the title, I never returned to the capital. Lingnan lies thousands of miles from the imperial city, and likely no one there knows. This suddenly appearing General Song is a woman. But upon my return this day, I received another urgent dispatch from His Majesty. Rongin, I have done my utmost. What does your Majesty mean? Linglong is the lady-in-waiting by my side. She knows everything of my past. Could it be? Her eyes widened. Your former husband has discovered it? I tucked the letter away. So what if Pei Yan found out? Years have passed, it's long since been put to rest. The one with a guilty conscience? That's not me. Rest assured, General. Linglong snorted coldly. If he dares come to you upright, we'll make sure he returns to the capital flat on his back. The truth was, when Pei Yan appeared, no one recognized him. He'd changed his name too. Now he was GQO. A lowly soldier under my command. He didn't cause me trouble. He drilled daily with the new recruits, doing his chores. Only when I occasionally passed by would he stare at me with bloodshot eyes. For this, he earned a nickname, Red-Eyed G. Just admit it, didn't our general save your whole family? Every time he sees her, he looks like he's got conjunctivitis, ha ha ha. He didn't deny it. He just kept drilling, kept doing his chores. I think I knew what he was waiting for. He was waiting for a campaign. Then he'd have his chance to play the same old game. Get wounded for me, make me soften my heart. Unfortunately, since that great victory in Lingnan half a year ago, no wars had stirred. 3 months later, on a certain night, he finally couldn't hold back. He stood guard outside my tent, grabbed my wrist. Rongin, how long do you plan to stay angry? Rongin, I know I was wrong. Please don't be angry anymore. I won't marry Xia Rongshuang. No, I never intended to marry her. I sent her away long ago. I didn't keep her child either. Come home with me. We can be like we were before, okay? I didn't want to be the center of attention outside. Once inside the tent, Pei Yan couldn't wait to embrace me. I pushed him away with my sword. Turning, I poured a cup of tea and splashed it onto the ground. I watched him silently. Water spilled cannot be gathered again. Pei Yan's eyes instantly turned crimson. Marquis Pei, I set down the teacup, please leave. Rongin, it's been 3 years. Are you still angry? I closed my eyes briefly. Rongin, let me explain. Xia Rongshuang and I. It's not what you think. I only. Marquis Pei. I opened my eyes. First, I'm not angry. From petitioning for the imperial decree of marriage to petitioning for the imperial decree of divorce, not a single thing I did was impulsive. I simply believe this is the best outcome for all three of us. Second, I have no interest in your relationship with Xie Rongshuang. If you wish to talk, turn left outside the door. The tea houses throughout the capital welcome you. Pei Yan looked on the verge of tears. Ronin, searching for you these past years nearly drove me mad. Must our relationship be so utterly heartless? I stared at him in silence. 12 years have passed between us. More than half my life. Pei Yan, I said earnestly, the affection between us ended long ago. Pei Yan didn't give up. Instead, he went all out. He openly revealed his identity and took up residence near the military camp. Today he sent pastries, tomorrow he sent dolls. Half a month later, he even brought in his trusted ally, Xia Xiao. When Xia Xiao saw me, he was so shocked he couldn't speak for a moment. Then, just like Pei Yan, he looked as if he might cry, "Sister. I thought you had already." After that, he joined Pei Yan. Left and right, they clung to me like two pieces of chewing gum. Soon, my identity spread throughout the camp, accompanied by all sorts of bizarre past events and fresh rumors. One day, passing by the soldiers' tents, I found them in high spirits. Jealous? How is that jealousy? If you ask me, it's those two scoundrels who pushed our general to flee the country. So what if he changed his surname? How dare anyone call our general a traitor? Exactly. Even a fool could see it. 12 years old. A little girl not even fully grown, sent to the barracks. Just when we thought we could live in peace, the sister hooks up with her husband. How could the family not know? Because her mother's surname is Xia, damn it. I couldn't help but laugh. But as I laughed, my eyes stung with tears. It turned out not all sacrifices could be summed up with just 3 words, not worth it. So when Pei Yan and Xia Xiao stood before me again, I didn't look away. What exactly do you want? Sister, we just want you to come back. How can a young woman endure this life of roughing it? Come back with us. We've agreed, since the divorce is final, you'll return to the Xia household first. My husband. I had no patience for Xia Xiao's lengthy speech. I cut straight to Pei Yan, and you? Pei Yan seemed to realize I intended to make a final decision with them today. His face paled slightly. Ronin, don't send me away. I couldn't be bothered with their nonsense. I walked straight out. I led them directly to the martial arts training ground. Pulling out a red-plumed spear, today, if any one of you defeats me, I'll return to the capital with you. Who's first? The commotion at the training ground drew attention quickly. In moments, a large crowd of soldiers gathered around. Linglong, recognizing us, turned and ran straight toward the camp tents. Xia Xiao must have seen me wielding the red-plumed spear for the first time. His eyes lit up. I'll go first. Wait for me, brother-in-law. Spear play is my specialty. Yet after just one move, Xia Xiao's eyes widened in shock. Xia Xiao, you've always believed I used my looks to serve others, that I only gained the title of general through Pei Yan, right? That's why you feared I'd fall out of favor. That's why you wanted Xie Rongshuang to secure my favor for me. Today, open your eyes and see. Who earned all your honors and glory? Xia Xiao retreated step by step. He seemed utterly unable to believe that I, who appeared so delicate and fragile in daily life, could wield a spear with such force. He found it even harder to believe that in less than 10 moves, I had knocked the spear from his hands. I don't need to go back with you. I pinned him against the wall. Because I, a young woman, have lived through days of hardship since I was 12. I pinned him against the wall. Because this maiden has lived rough and wild from 12 to 18. I don't want to go back with you either. I tossed the red-plumed spear aside and seized him bare-handed. Because that place makes me sick. The woman who was once your elder sister makes me sick. The one who risked life and limb for you disgusts me even more. I clamped my hands around his throat. Xia Xiao, dare to come near me again, and I'll kill you each time we meet. I flung him away and clapped my hands. Next. Let's duel. Pei Yan's face paled even more than before. I drew the long sword from my waist. His attendant handed him his sword. Our last duel was 6 years ago. On the eve of the great battle, he dragged me into a sword duel. He asked the same question: if I win, marry me. I gave the same answer: no. Who would have thought we'd duel again 6 years later? I've been married and divorced. Pei Yan's sword remained swift, both fast and steady. The crowd fell silent from the previous match's clamor. No one expected that young Marquis, who pretended to be a green recruit and looked like a scholar, had mastered such skill with the sword. But I knew his style well. In the past, it would take us 1 or 2 hours to decide the winner. Today, however, before half an hour had passed, Pei Yan suddenly sidestepped. As if certain I would step aside, he thrust his blade straight toward me. But I didn't. Thud, the sword pierced through my shoulder armor. You lost, I said, expressionless. Pulling the sword free, he gripped the blade with his bare hand. Still not satisfied? Blood flowed from his body, his eyes seemed ready to bleed. Rongin, forgive me this once, just this once, please? I recalled that night when he said, Pei Yan will never betray you in this lifetime, with the same unwavering resolve. I shook my head, no. Rongin. He tried to draw near, but the sword hilt stood between us. I gave a sharp tug, driving the blade deeper. Rongin, look, I haven't changed. He forced a smile. I'm still the same as back then. I'd die for you. Just give me one more chance, please? I still shook my head. No. Suddenly, he wept. Why? Rongin, our bond spans over a decade. We've won countless battles together, slain so many enemies side by side. Why? I've admitted my mistakes. Why won't you let me turn back? He leaned forward, gripping my arm. Tears streamed down his cheeks, falling onto the silver blade. You know I love you. From the very beginning, I've only ever loved you. Do you love me, or do you just want to tame me? I watched him silently. So many restless nights, I'd asked myself why. Why did he seem to care so deeply, only to turn around and hurt me? Why would he pour out his heart to me one moment, only to share the most intimate acts with the person I despised most the next? Why? Why? The questions remained unanswered, shattering my spirit. But when I finally let go of that why, one day it suddenly dawned on me, remembering how it all began. From the start, he only wanted to win me. He won my body, then sought to win my heart. Having won my heart, he sought to win my love. Had I accepted Xie Rongshuang, there would have been Li Rongshuang, Gu Rongshuang. He tried to tame a female general. To turn her into a woman confined to the inner quarters, revering him as her master, her sky. A momentary blankness flashed across Pei Yan's face. As if even he had never considered this question. You lost. Go back. I drew my sword and turned to leave. No. Pei Yan fell to the ground, grabbing my ankle. Rongin, are you still angry? Do you want to punish me? I know. Tears still fell from his eyes, making him look utterly helpless. You sold the dragon tongue bow, sold the plum blossom dagger, sold the golden silk armor. But there's one thing left. You couldn't bear to part with it, could you? No. I drew the amulet from my sleeve. The very amulet he'd begged for, kneeling through 9,999 steps. I kept it because I knew. This day would come sooner or later. I tossed it into the air, flicking my wrist in a sword flourish. It shattered like paper dust. Pei Yan tilted his head back, facing the light. But as the talisman fell to the ground, the glimmer in his eyes faded away. As Pei Yan and Xia Xiao's carriage departed, Linglong rushed out clutching a wicker basket. Hey! Don't go yet! What about the 1,000 silver needles we agreed on? I spent months grinding them. I looked down. It really was a basket full of needles. We Lingnan folk are the most down-to-earth. Linglong patted her chest. Forget it. They're getting off easy. Come on, General, let's go drink. Everyone's ready. She hooked her arm through mine, today, we won't leave until we're drunk. I smiled, my eyes crinkling, not leaving until we're drunk. Extra, Pei Yan. I had noticed something was off with Ronin. It was the 20th day since I had instructed Xie Xiao to feign illness. I went to the Xie residence to discuss with him how to seamlessly bring Xie Rongshuang into the palace during the Qianlin night banquet 7 days hence. Emerging from the tea room, I found Ronin sitting in the lotus pavilion of the rear garden, holding a bowl of medicinal soup. Her eyes were red. That afternoon she had gone to the palace. After returning, I sensed something had changed about her. But I didn't dwell on it. I was impatiently awaiting the Qianlin night banquet. I pored over every word I would use that night. How could I persuade His Majesty to approve Xie Xiao's marriage proposal? How to avoid being despised by all under heaven? How to prevent Ronin from bearing me ill will? I knew her temper was fierce. But I also knew she cherished Xie Xiao above all else. If Xie Xiao were to propose it himself, she would surely yield. Later, the Empress pointed her finger at me and scolded, "You fool! If only you'd chosen someone else. Not Xie Rongshuang, or not Xie Xiao. Why must it be these two?" That was when I went to plead with her for news of Ronin's whereabouts. His Majesty refused to see me. When my mother spoke on my behalf, he only snapped, "He is a general defending the empire. You want me to aid you in imprisoning a great general within your inner chambers?" I had no choice but to turn to Her Majesty the Empress. Yet she too said I was wrong. I was wrong. I knew it. It's hard to describe my feelings when I opened that wooden box. I waited with bated breath for the sun to set. What surprise would Ronin have prepared for me? Would she have caught a box full of fireflies to wait until sunset? No. Fireflies are fleeting. What Ronin gave me must be a surprise I could gaze upon always, remember every moment. I opened the box with utmost care, and the sky plunged into darkness. It turned out she had known everything all along. My schemes, my tricks, my deceit, my betrayal. She saw it all. Almost in the next instant, I dashed toward the palace. Now I understood why she'd waited until sunset. By sunset, she'd already left the capital. I could never catch up to her. But His Majesty locked me in the Buddhist hall. He said my marriage was a vow made before the Buddha. First, reflect on your own faults. I repent. I was wrong. Truly wrong. It was merely a moment of curiosity. I saw a resemblance between Xie Rongshuang and her. I witnessed Xie Xiao hinting time and again that Xie Rongshuang could bear me a child. I wondered, would a child of mine and Xie Rongshuang also resemble the child she and I might have had? Could I treat that child as the offspring of her and me? I wasn't taming her. No, I wasn't. I truly loved her. But she no longer trusted me. After returning from Lingnan, I fell gravely ill. All these years spent searching for her, I neglected my official duties. His Majesty long ago stripped me of my position as minister and granted me a marquis title, telling me to go cool off somewhere. It feels like I've reverted to that useless, spoiled brat I was many years ago. Is my sister really that formidable? My only solace came when Xie Xiao occasionally visited to ask about those years in the northern frontier. I told him stories. How my Ronin was so dashing and heroic. How she fought 100 men single-handedly. How she proved women were no less than men. Often, as I spoke, Xie Xiao would weep too, so my sister endured so much hardship. Later, Xie Xiao went to the northern frontier too. My only joy vanished. I began to frequent the brothels, living in drunken oblivion. Originally, it was Ronin who led me. I chased after her, relentlessly pursuing her path. But then Ronin was lost. And I lost myself too. Later, I saw Ronin once more. I can't recall how many years had passed. I was dead drunk, dueling with Ronin in my dreams. Suddenly, a clamor erupted outside. General Song has returned. Look! There's General Song. He's won another victory. I snapped awake and flung open the window. There stood the one who haunted my dreams. She stumbled out, shoes askew. At the doorway, she tripped. Falling to the ground, dust covering her face. I could only peer through a crack in the floorboards, seeing her radiant smile and heroic bearing. Suddenly, I recalled our first meeting. It was the New Year's banquet. His Majesty and the Empress were chatting and bickering. The Empress was saying, "Who says women are inferior to men? In ancient times, there was Hua Mulan, today, there is. Who is there today? Speak." The Empress was caught off guard when a young girl with auburn hair suddenly darted out from a corner. "Today, there is Xie Rongyin." She trembled with nervousness, yet her eyes were stubborn and clear. Your Majesty, Rongyin wishes to emulate Mulan, to fight on the battlefield and prove the valor of women." At that moment, I held my wine cup and let out a soft tsk. After the new year, I too would march to the battlefield. Just wait and see how you'll cling to your queue, wailing for your parents. And now, she has done it. As for me, I deserve to curl up in this dark, sunless sewer. Rotting. Stinking. The end.